All right, so today we're going to be looking at something a little different
Oh, okay.
and a little intense. We're going to be doing a deep dive into Penelope Douglas's Corrupt, and
Interesting.
specifically how she uses the kind of that dark romance element,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to the sexual content of the book.
Okay.
This isn't your typical fluffy love story,
Right.
and we're going to unpack why that is.
Absolutely.
All right?
Yeah, corrupt definitely pushes boundaries. And what I think is so interesting about it is that it doesn't just throw sex in there for shock value.
Right. Okay.
The sexual content is really interwoven with the power dynamics and the psychological tension.
Yeah.
It becomes a key part of how the characters relate to each other, especially Erica and Michael.
Absolutely. And right from the start, we kind of get this sense that Erica, or Rika, as she's known in the book,
Right.
is fixated on Michael, but it's more than a crush. Douglas uses these little details, like Rika noticing the scent of his body wash, for example,
Hmm.
to hint at an attraction that's almost obsessive. It really sets the stage for a relationship that's going to be anything but straightforward.
Exactly. And that's a hallmark of dark romance. The attraction is immediate and intense.
Yeah.
It often borders on obsessive, and it's not just about physical desire, it's tangled up with deeper psychological needs.
Right.
And these power dynamics, and in Corrupt, the power imbalance is clear from the beginning.
Yeah.
You have Michael, who is older. He comes from this wealthy and influential family,
hmm
and he knows how to use that to his advantage.
And it's not even just the age and wealth
Yeah.
difference. There's this constant push and pull between them.
Yes.
He draws Rika in and then pushes her away.
Mm-hmm.
And it creates this really intoxicating mix of desire and uncertainty.
That's a classic technique in dark romance to keep the reader and the characters on edge,
Yes.
wondering what will happen next. It creates this sense of anticipation and danger.
Yeah.
But it also raises questions about consent and manipulation, which is something Douglas explores throughout the book.
Things definitely escalate in that scene in the catacombs.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about setting a mood.
Right.
It's dark, it's secretive, and Rika witnesses this intensely sexual encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it awakens something in her.
The catacomb scene is pivotal for several reasons. First, the setting itself reinforces that dark element of the romance.
Right.
It's a place associated with death and hidden secrets, which mirrors the hidden desires and the unspoken tension between Rika and Michael.
Okay.
And second, it marks a shift from a subtle attraction to a more overt exploration of sexuality.
Yeah.
Rika's own desires become more conscious, fueled by what she witnesses.
And Rika isn't just a passive observer in all of this. She starts using her sexuality as a form of rebellion,
Right.
pushing back against the expectations placed upon her. We see this in her provocative behavior at the club with Miles, for example.
It's a complex portrayal of a young woman who is grappling with her identity and desires.
Uh,
On the surface, it might seem like reckless behavior,
Yeah.
but Douglas is hinting at something deeper. Rika is trying to take control to define herself on her own terms,
okay.
even if it means pushing boundaries and breaking societal norms.
And then there's that scene in Trevor's bedroom.
Yeah.
All that pent-up tension,
Mhm.
the power dynamics, the blurred lines of consent, it culminates in this raw and emotionally charged encounter.
Wow.
It feels dangerous, and definitely not your typical teenage romance.
That scene is the culmination of all the dark romance elements that we've been talking about.
Right.
This is the point where the unspoken attraction and the psychological games turn into something physical,
hmm
and it has a profound impact on both characters. It leaves them grappling with feelings of guilt and confusion
Yeah.
and this desire for something more.
Okay.
But the question is, can they find that something more in a relationship built on such a foundation?
That is a great question, and one we will continue exploring as we dive deeper into the complexities of Corrupt. But before we do, I want to hear your thoughts. What stood out to you about those early interactions between Rika and Michael?
Hmm.
How did Douglas use sexual content to heighten the tension and to hint at those darker aspects of their relationship?
I think.
Take a moment to reflect on that, and we'll be back in a flash to continue our deep dive.
Okay. Welcome back. Let's continue exploring how Penelope Douglas uses those darker, more sensual elements to build the story in Corrupt.
Okay.
After that intense encounter in Trevor's bedroom,
Right.
the relationship between Rika and Michael becomes even more complicated.
It does.
Yes.
Rika is left grappling with so many conflicting emotions. She's drawn to Michael, but she's also scared of him
Right.
and of the power he seems to have over her.
Hmm.
Plus, there's this underlying sense of danger,
Mm-hmm.
especially with Michael's friends, the horsemen,
Yeah.
always lurking in the background.
The horsemen play a significant role in amplifying that dark romance vibe of the story.
Yeah,
They represent this chaotic, rebellious energy which both attracts and repels Rika. Their presence adds a layer of unpredictability and risk to everything,
right.
even something as seemingly simple as a night out at the club.
Yeah.
Douglas uses them to create a constant sense of unease, a feeling that anything could happen.
Speaking of unease, that scene where Michael takes Rika to the abandoned warehouse,
Oh, yeah.
it's creepy, it's isolated, and yet there's this undeniable thrill to it.
Yeah.
It's like they're both drawn to the forbidden, to the danger.
That scene highlights a key element of dark romance, the allure of the taboo.
Okay.
It's not just about the physical attraction between the characters.
Right.
It's about pushing boundaries and exploring the darker side of human nature.
Yeah.
The abandoned warehouse becomes a symbol of their transgression, a place where they can indulge in their desires away from the prying eyes of society.
And Michael, he's such a complex character. He's not just a bad boy, he's calculated, manipulative even.
Mm-hmm.
The way he tests Rika, pushing her buttons, it's almost like he's trying to see how far she'll go.
Exactly. Michael's character is full of contradictions. He can be both tender and cruel, protective and possessive.
Uh-huh.
And that's what makes him so fascinating. We're never quite sure what his true motivations are,
Right.
whether he genuinely cares for Rika or if he's just using her for his own amusement. And this uncertainty adds to the overall tension and intrigue of the dark romance.
Then there's that scene at the club where Rika deliberately provokes Miles Trevor's brother
Right.
to make Michael jealous. She's using her sexuality as a weapon,
Yeah.
but it also feels like she's reclaiming some of her power in a situation where she often feels powerless.
It's a powerful moment of self-discovery for Rika. She's realizing that her sexuality can be a source of strength, not just something to be controlled or exploited by others,
Okay.
but it's also a risky game she's playing.
Yeah.
Michael's reaction is volatile, and it reinforces the dangerous dynamics at play in their relationship.
Right.
Douglas is reminding us that even when Rika tries to assert herself, the stakes are incredibly high.
And speaking of high stakes, how about that steamy scene in the pool house?
Ooh, yeah.
Rika's pushing Michael's buttons. There's this palpable sexual tension.
Mm-hmm.
It's clear that their connection is intense, but also incredibly volatile.
That scene is a prime example of how Douglas uses physical intimacy to mirror the emotional and psychological conflicts.
Right.
Between Rika and Michael, their desire for each other is undeniable.
Yeah.
But it's also intertwined with anger and resentment and a constant power struggle.
Uh-huh.
It makes us question whether their passion can ever translate into something healthy and sustainable,
Right.
or if it's doomed to burn out in a blaze of destruction.
And just when we think we're starting to understand their dynamic, there's that bombshell revelation.
Yeah.
Trevor, not Michael, was the one behind the mask on the night of the fire. It changes everything.
Whoa.
Suddenly, Michael's actions, his possessiveness, take on a whole new meaning.
That twist is a game changer. It makes us reevaluate everything we thought we knew about Michael.
Right.
Was he trying to protect Rika from his brother all along? Or was he manipulating her, using the fire as a way to isolate her and exert more control?
It's crazy.
Douglas leaves us with more questions than answers, forcing us to confront the complexities of their relationship and the blurred lines between love, obsession, and control.
It definitely throws a wrench in things. And as we head into the final part of our deep dive, I can't help but wonder, can a relationship built on such a foundation of secrets and power struggles and intense physicality ever truly find redemption?
That's the million-dollar question, and one we'll continue to unpack as we delve into the conclusion of Corrupt.
Okay.
But before we do, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on Michael's motivations? Do you think he's capable of genuine love and care for Rika? Or is he ultimately driven by a need for control?
I don't know.
Take a moment to consider that, and we'll be back to explore the final chapters of this twisted love story.
Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Corrupt.
All right.
And things get even more intense, I would say.
Yeah.
As we head toward the conclusion, Rika finds herself completely at the mercy of Michael and the Horsemen.
Right.
It's a situation that's just ripe with dark romance elements.
Oh, yeah.
Secrets. Power imbalances, that constant sense of danger.
Absolutely. This is where the novel really pushes the boundaries of, what's acceptable.
Right?
And forces us to confront those darker aspects of desire and control.
Yeah.
Rika's family fortune is gone. She's essentially trapped.
Hmm.
And the horsemen, with Michael at the helm, hold all the cards.
Yep.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Right.
And Douglas doesn't shy away from depicting those difficult realities of that power imbalance.
That scene in the abandoned church is particularly disturbing.
Oh, yeah.
It's a raw depiction of Michael asserting his dominance. And it really raises a lot of questions about consent and coercion.
Right.
It's hard to read,
Yeah.
but it's also a pivotal moment in their relationship.
That scene is definitely controversial, and it's meant to be. Douglas isn't romanticizing or condoning Michael's behavior. Instead, she's forcing us to confront the harsh realities of a relationship built on such unequal footing.
Yeah.
It's a stark reminder that even in the context of intense attraction, power dynamics can easily be abused.
But even in this situation,
Right.
Rika doesn't just give in.
No.
She fights back.
She does.
She uses her sexuality to manipulate Michael,
Yeah.
turning his own tactics against him.
Oh, yeah.
It's a risky move,
Uh-huh.
but it shows her resilience and her determination to reclaim some agency.
Rika's strength and resilience are really tested in these final chapters.
Yeah.
She's been through so much, and yet she refuses to be a victim.
Right.
She uses whatever tools she has at her disposal, even her sexuality, to navigate a dangerous situation. It's a complex portrayal of a young woman refusing to be defined by the circumstances that she finds herself in.
And then just when we think it can't get more complicated,
Yeah.
we get that shocking revelation about the night of the fire.
Right.
It was Trevor, not Michael, who assaulted Rika. It completely changes our understanding of everything.
It does.
It really does.
That revelation throws everything into question.
Yeah.
It makes us reevaluate Michael's motivations.
Right.
Was he truly trying to protect Rika all this time? Or was he using that knowledge to manipulate her to keep her dependent on him?
I don't know.
It's a brilliant twist that adds another layer of complexity to the already intricate dark romance dynamics.
And the ending.
Oh, the ending.
Oh boy, the ending.
Yeah.
Michael finally admits his feelings for Rika.
He does.
But can she ever truly trust him after everything that's happened?
Right.
Can their relationship ever be anything more than a tangled mess of passion, pain, and power struggles?
That's the question Douglas leaves us with.
Yeah.
There's no easy answer, no neat resolution.
Right.
Corrupt isn't a fairy tale. It's
No.
a raw and unflinching exploration of the dark side of desire.
Okay.
It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about power control and the complexities of human relationships.
It's definitely a book that stays with you long after you finish reading it.
It does.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
what's the one thing that you hope our listener takes away from this exploration of Corrupt?
I think the most important thing is to remember that Corrupt is a work of fiction.
Okay.
It's meant to provoke thought and discussion.
Right.
It's not a guidebook for healthy relationships, but it does offer a glimpse into the darker side of human nature.
Yeah.
And it challenges us to think critically about the dynamics of power and desire,
Okay.
especially in the context of dark romance.
It's a story that pushes boundaries and sparks conversations.
It does.
And that's exactly what we hope we've done here today. So thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Corrupt.
Yes. Thank you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the stories that fascinate you.